And just like King David, his name was David, Mashiach will also be David. But there's a bigger question here, and that is, let's continue. Amalei Rav Papa Abayis, Rav Papa asked Abayis. It says, my servant David will be a prince over them forever. That's an indication that David HaMelech will be our king forever. In fact, we sing the song, David Melech Yisrael, Chayiv V'Chayim, so he's always going to be a king. According to this, he's going to be a new person, and he'll be sort of the new king.
That's my son's name.
David?
David Israel.
David Yisrael, okay? Didn't do better than that. Okay. But you didn't make it David Melech Yisrael.
He'll get the Melech when we get to Israel.
Okay.
When we get to Eretz Israel.
Right. Okay.
Moshiach.
So the Gemara answers, could go in Keser or Palmi Keser. The two Davids would be like an emperor and a half emperor. What does that mean? So in the portion, the commentators say it means similar to that we see the story of the Chumash with Yosef. Paro was the king, and Yosef was sort of the second in command. I couldn't say that today we have a president and a vice president. Because the power really is in the president. The vice president is, yeah, he's also there. But with Paro, Yosef was actually very powerful. In fact, it says no one could lift a hand or foot without getting permission from Yosef. It didn't change the fact that Paro was the king, but Yosef was like the second in command. So Mashiach will come. Mashiach himself will be the king. That's the new David. And David HaMelech from the past will also be in the position of a king and the position of a leader, but he'll be second in command to Moshiach. So this came up once before, but this is the source. And I think we asked the question, or some of the students asked the question. There are a lot of people, not a lot, there's so many people that throughout history, the Jewish people, they had a position of leadership. First of all, they were kings in every generation. Then there were people, they weren't necessarily kings, but they were Torah scholars. And they were the leader, like the Rambam was the leader of his generation. Rashi was the leader of his generation. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was the leader of his generation. In every generation, there were great people that were leaders. And some of them, they were not leaders of the whole generation, but they were leaders of communities. So Mashiach comes and they're all going to be like demoted. They're going to lose their position of leadership. Mashiach is supposed to bring everyone to a higher place and a better place, and not bring down. Remember, we spoke about the fact that no one's going to lose anything when Mashiach comes. On the contrary, whatever we have will only be better when Mashiach comes. So what's going to happen to people in the position of leadership? And the answer is, everyone will continue with their position of leadership. So Mashiach comes, there will still be thousands of leaders. Each one will be a leader of their community that they led during their lifetime. But all the leaders will be under the leadership of Mashiach. The same thing here with David HaMelech. He was a king, and he's the king of all the Israel. So he still will have a position of kingdom, but will be under the leadership of Mashiach. Now we continue. Yeah.
So where will Moshe go?
What?
Moshe. Oh.
I'll also be there and that. In other words, this is an answer that will sort of answer all the questions about leaders. It's exactly how it will be set up. I don't know, but the idea that they will maintain their position of leadership, but it will all be under the leadership of Moshiach. Now, I guess that bringing up Moshe, that's, by the way, an example. In the times of Moshe Rabbeinu, there were 12 tribes. Each tribe had 50, 60, or 70,000 people. And each tribe had a Nasi. A Nasi was a leader. One person was the leader of the tribe. And it wasn't a contradiction that Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader. They were leaders of tribes, each one of their specific tribes. And Moshe was the leader of all the leaders. And also the difference is that today we also have different tribes and different leaders, but there's a little problem. And the problem is, like with the story of Akiva's students, that there are different leaders and different tribes, but there's a little bit of a clash we do this way, you do that way. So the fact that there's so many groups and tribes and leaders could create something which would mean there would be a lack of unity. When Mashiach comes, that's not going to be. When Mashiach comes, we'll see how everybody, all the leaders and all the tribes and all the communities and all the generations, how each one complements the other. In fact, in the Zohar, he used the analogy that there's certain generations that the tzaddikim of that generation are like the hand, and others like the foot, and others like the heart, and others like the eyes, which means just like in the human body, the different organs, and each organ looks different, each organ functions differently, each organ has a different purpose, and yet they all operate together in harmony. We're going to approach Shavuos soon. And when it comes to Shavuos, the very famous, we hear a lot about it, is that you hear a phrase, a quote, it comes from Rashi, which Rashi takes it from the Gemara, and the quote is, Ki ish echad v'lei echad, like one person with one heart. What is that about? It says in the Chumash that when the Jewish people arrived at Har Sinai, it says, and he camped opposite the mountain. And Rashi says, what do you mean he can't? They can't. There was a whole nation of 600,000 people. Why did it say he? To teach us that when they were getting ready to receive the Torah, they were so united, they were like one person with one heart. Meaning to say, one person has different organs, and each organ looks different, shaped different, functions different. And yet it's not, no human being feels splintered because they have different organs. And they have different faculties. It's all one, and each one complements the other. They all work together in harmony like a symphony. That's the way it's going to be when Moshiach comes. So all the leaders and all the community and all the generations and all the leaders and all the generations, each one will contribute what they contribute.
I have a question. Is it Sanhedrin at the top?
Attractive. The mother, of course, and then.
Okay, I thought that was, isn't Sanhedrin a leader?
No,
Like,
Sanhedrin means the central court of rabbis that ruled the whole Klal Yisrael. 71 sages.
Yeah.
They were situated in the Beit HaMikdash. And any question in halacha was brought before them, and they would question, and they would give the ruling. They would Sanhedrin.
okay,
So since we don't have the Beit HaMikdash, we no longer have a Sanhedrin. Each community, each country, in each country, every community had their own rabbi that ruled. But in those days, in addition to the personal rabbi, there was one group of rabbis, and they were the ones who ruled for the whole Jewish nation. When Mashiach comes, that'll come back. So this is a tractate, with the whole tractate, there are the laws that are related to something.
is there like leaders that are picked out now in the communities, like should Mashiach come, that these guys are ready to be like?
Well, in every community, there are leaders, the rabbis in the community, there are the teachers in the community, each one is a leader in their circle.
No, I'm saying when Mashiach comes, like,
Right.
is there appointed, men, like rabbis now?
That'll be a Sanhedrin when Mashiach comes.
Yeah,
No one did that.
like no one's getting ready.
Not in that
or,
way,
like,
no.
What about the Cohens now, like, when the time comes, like, they're gonna be the
The
ones.
Kohen are already designated, when they're a Kohen, they're designated, Mashiach comes. They're going to do the service in the Beis HaMikdash. Yeah, basically, you're holding your hand, yeah.
No, I'm saying, with the sun, work the same, how like, Hashem will give a message to my son, and Moshe will tell the leaders of the tribes, and they give a message to people. But Hashem will go through, Mashiach will be the leaders of each group, and we'll hear it from our leaders.
A good question, because a lot of these leaders are also prophets. So again, we can't say that Hashem will no longer communicate with them directly like they used to. Because everything about Mashiach is only going forward and higher, not less.
Hashem will still speak.
So we'll still speak directly with all these tzaddik, and maybe there'll be certain things, maybe because these are the things that are related to the whole nation collectively, that go through Mashiach.
I don't think there have to be special, like certain things that would give us the Mashiach.
Right.
Question.
Yeah.
The difference between the Kohen and the Sanhedrin, what is it?
Sanhedrin are people who are authority with halacha. Kohen doesn't have to be an authority, halacha, he can be an ordinary
It's like
person.
ordinary, yeah.
But just that he's the one who has the merit that he can do the services in the base on
So Cohen could be part of the Sanhedrin, technically,
part of the what?
the Sanhedrin. He could be
He could be part of
it,
it.
but the Sanhedrin isn't necessarily a Cohen.
Right, the Kohen is not Sanhedrin, someone Sanhedrin could be. Right. the Kohen.
No one is like the Cohen is the more righteous than the Sanhedrin, let's say.
It's not a question of more rights, but he has a certain quality that nobody else has, because he's the descendant of Aaron not knowing. And therefore only he can do the services. So even if someone is a scholar and smart and righteous, but if he's not a Kohen, he's not qualified to do the services. Yeah,
Two questions. So what's the difference between days of killing and from 10 days?
basically means a quarter of rabbis. Quarter rabbis would be 3 rabbis, would be 23 rabbis, and these rabbis are local. They could be in this city, in that city. Sanhedrin was the court of justice of all the courts, like you would say, there's a word, this top supreme court that controls everything else.
But today, we don't have only a base local.
A local,
That's
right.
why we won't have to make.
Right, years ago, if there was a question, let's say one court of rabbis thought the halacha should be one way. Another court of rabbis thought the halacha was another way. They would go to Yerushalayim, they would present it to the Sanhedrin, and they would rule over which was the proper ruling. So they gave a ruling that applied to all the Jewish people.
That's why I walked in, I was thinking, again, not difficult, but, what difficult was, if it was said, and then it actually changed.
Even they have certain limitations, what they could change, what they can't change.
Possible.
Right, but today, the halachic ruling, let's say a rabbi in this community might not be binding to a rabbi living in Israel. His community will go by his ruling. So each community is told, you give the ruling that comes to your mind where you understand it. The one thing it has to be based on is Geulah, the Talmud. The Talmud was written with the consent of all the greatest sages of the Jewish people. So whatever is there is a ruling for the whole Jewish people. The fact there are differences of opinion because they have difference of opinion how to interpret the Talmud. But if it's in the Talmud, then it's then it has to be accepted.
So they spin could not change something, like,
Or the power.
again, like some people like want to get history to be changed, that cannot be changed. Literally, the Sanhedrin possibly could make an adjustment, but.
Again, even the Sanhedrin had certain limitations that had certain things even they could do. Right, the Sanhedrin of an early generation established a certain ruling, not always can they override it, not always. No. Yes,
Can I ask a question about like all conflict?
how far are we? New Jersey, California, how far are we
No,
going?
it's like Moshiach, but like,
Okay,
basically, you know how we talked about all like the miracles that are gonna happen when Moshiach comes?
right.
Are they like? Are they gonna happen like right when he comes, or is it like that, like little by little that we'll see the
It's
miracle?
one of the topics of today's class.
Oh.
And it's gonna come in stages.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do we know in the rich base, we have different communities, we have different like, understanding of the Torah, right? So when Moshiach will come, you will know in which base. For the Chabad base, or I don't know, I don't know, like, something like in which base to.
I see what I said before, each community will still be following their rabbi and their community, and it's all emes. This is one of the subjects which maybe we have an opportunity one time to explain it. But the Gemara says, Beis Shammai says one thing, Beis Hillel says another thing, and yet both are true and both are Torah. It's very hard to explain that, not so simple. I mean, it is explained, because it is what it means. But the idea that there are two opinions doesn't mean one is true, one is false. They can both be true opinions, and yet in this community, this will be acceptable or not. So just on a general way, could there be a possibility that you eat certain foods that you enjoy it, and your doctor says this is very good for you? And the same food exactly, another person the doctor will say, don't go near this. This is poison for you. Is that possible?
Yeah,
Is it possible that one person has an allergic reaction to milk, and another person it gives them, it makes them feel good, and they feel better actually after drinking milk? Yes. That means you can have the same food or the same circumstance, but for one person it's amazing, and another person it's toxic. So spiritually, if a person, let's say, is by Hashgacha Pratis, Hashem who led them in a way that they're under the authority of this Bezdin, and a certain person ends up on the authority of another Bezdin, that means their life is governed by that Bezdin. And that Bezdin says it's permissible, so for them it's permissible. Like we just had Pesach. Sephardic Jews eat on Pesach,
right.
what we call kidneys. Ashkenazi Jews don't eat it. So who's right? Somebody's doing it right, somebody's doing it wrong. No, for them that's right, and for us this is right. So both are true. There's actually an amazing story with I think with the Tzemach Tzedek, that there was a chassid that was sick, went to a doctor, and they found that he had a certain his lungs were punctured, and the doctor says you have no more than 12 months to live. What do? He ran to the Tzemach Tzedek. I think it was the Tzemach Tzedek. Yes, for a bracha. Actually, what he wanted was a miracle. Tzemach Tzedek said, "Go and move to Israel." But he told him to go to Tzfat. I'm not sure. Definitely go to Israel. And he lived another 20-something years. So he explained what he did. This kind of puncture in the lung, there's a machlokas. There's a difference of opinion in authority with halacha if a person could live with that or not. Or maybe it even applies to an animal. If you slaughter an animal, if the animal has something with it that it couldn't live for more than 12 months, it's spring. So there's difference of opinion in halacha. This kind of puncture, could one live with it or not? So the Sephardic opinion of Yosef Pyro was that yes, you could live. The opinion of the Ashkenazi rabbi, which is Moshe Israelish, was that you can't do it. So he said, you're living here now, where he's the rabbi, go live in Israel, where he's the rabbi, and you'll be fine. Under his rulership, the rules were that he could live. So basically, they're both true, all opinions are true, and when Mashiach comes, there's everything that all the rabbis would like to bring up to a higher authority to clarify, that would be the Sanhedrin. Okay, let's continue. There's an interesting observation here. Was it just interesting? The word Caesar actually means a king, but it comes from the word Caesar. It's Aramaic. And everyone spoke about it. So why would the Gemara use a word like Caesar? Why not Melech? Melech is the Hebrew word for king. Why did they decide to use the word Caesar, which is actually a non-Jewish word for king, and not only non-Jewish, it's the name of a Roman emperor. Rome was the one who destroyed our Western English, who put it into notes. How would we even do that? And I think the main point of the Rebbe's answer was because kings we had in the history before. We even had kings who ruled the whole world. We had before, but to have a situation where there'll be a king that the whole world will accept his sovereignty, even the non-Jews will follow what he said, and they'll follow Hashem's word, they'll keep their 7 mitzvahs, all that never happened before, that it only happened once Moshiach comes. So in a sense, the uniqueness of Moshiach is that even the non-Jewish world will accept him as their king, and will follow the teachings of Torah regarding what they are obligated to observe. So that's why they use the word Kesar, meaning a non-Jewish term, to show that the greatness of Mashiach is what will distinguish that time from all other times in history, that even the non-Jewish world will follow his rulings and follow the way of life that he will teach. Okay, then the Gemara tells the story. It starts off like this. Dorash Reb Simloi, this rabbi, his name was Reb Simloi. He said, what does it mean when it says This is a pasuk. It means that there's woe to those who yearn for the day of Hashem. Why should you want the day of Hashem? It is darkness and not light. What does that mean? Why should you want the day of Hashem? It's darkness, not light. So the Gemara says, "Mashal v'targa v'atale." You can give a mashal of a rooster and a bat. The rooster said to the bat, "I'm waiting for the light. I'm waiting for the morning, because I want the light to come out." And the bat was also waiting for the light to come out. But he said to him, "But you have nothing to wait for because the light makes no difference to you. The bat is blind." Right? So the light doesn't make any difference. But there is light or no light, but the bat makes no difference. But what do you mean to say? So let's look a little bit further. I mean to say basically that for the wicked people, when Moshiach comes, it's not going to be light for them. Unfortunately, they're going to be eliminated. But for the righteous people, that for them it's going to be light. You want to tell the story? Let's turn the page to 9981. That this explains the story that there was a heretic that asked Rabbi Majeski, when will Moshiach come? So he said to him, when there'll be darkness covering those people. Yeah, those people mean the people who are evil people. So he said to them, are you cursing me? He understood to say, oh, if you're not Jewish, this is what's going to happen. And he said to him, no, I'm quoting a pasuk. There's a pasuk that says that darkness will cover the earth, and a dark cloud, thick cloud, will cover people, but Hashem will shine upon you, and His glory will be seen, which is Moshiach. When you look at the translation, it looks as if the Jewish people will have the light, and the rest of the world will be dark. But the truth is, if you look at Aleinu the Shabbat, we mentioned this many times, Aleinu that we say every day, it's clear that no, it'll be light for the whole world, and the whole world will be transformed to accept Hashem's sovereignty and keep the seven mitzvahs. And obviously, it'll be a time of bliss for every single person in the world. So probably this is referring to more to evil people, to those that are the ones that Hashem will not really deal to. Now the Gemara goes on to explain how long will the time of Mashiach last. Tanya was taught in the Brisa. Rabbi Lezer says, Yemoisa Mashiach Arboim Shana. The Messianic era will last for 40 years. Shenever, because it says, this is a pasuk in Tehillim. In fact, we say it tonight. It's in the chapter of Tehillim that we say tonight in Shul, which is L'chul Neranana. At the end, it says, Arboim Shana Upper B'der. For 40 years, there's a generation that you will be holy. And based on that, he's saying that it's for 40 years. So I have to do an introduction. Does that mean everything we're talking about, all the great Moshiach, will only last for 40 years? That's a pretty short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you can all read English, so you can later read the notes yourself, you can hold on to this and see, but I'll just tell you what they say. The way they explain it is, there's two things. The Rambam writes, and I gave this other sheet out. I'm going to take it for a moment. The one which is the Rambam. We had questions on this for quite a while at the beginning of the year. I want to bring into our attention what the Rambam writes. Do not presume that in the Messianic age the nature of the world will change, or there will be innovations in the works of creation. The world will continue according to its pattern ways now. The wolf, even though it says the wolf will dwell with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the young goat, these words are metaphors and a parable, and it means that the nations of the world and the Jewish people will live peacefully. But really, things will go on at a natural way that we see now. And of course, everyone asks the question, how did the Rambam say that when Mashiach comes, there won't be miracles? Even the resurrection of the dead is like the biggest miracle that ever occurred. And surely we are all waiting for that. After the Rambam say there won't be any miracles. So the answer is there's a time period, it's called Yemoisa Mashiach. the days of Mashiach. The days of Mashiach, Rabbi writes, there's going to be a time when we won't be persecuted by the nations of the world. We'll have total freedom to learn Torah, to do mitzvahs, to live as Jews freely without that. And then there'll be another time, and that was the question that Naomi asked. She's happy not to be here now. Then there'll be, and then more as we go along, there'll be time where we'll see open miracles, such unprecedented miracles, like the miracle of waking up, the dead people rising. No doubt that there'll be miracles, but the initial stages of Mashiach's coming could be things happening very natural, but there won't be any more persecution. You will have all the freedom to learn Torah mitzvahs, something which we never enjoyed truly throughout history on a global level. I just want to conclude that today, the Rebbe actually once said that today we are already in the beginning of this time zone, called the Moshiach, because that's the kind of world we're living in already. Besides the fact that we have this incident that just happened with President Trump, which you probably heard, that he came out with a call people to keep Shabbos.
Wait, what? He said that?
Yes.
Yeah, for the 250th year.
In our, well, we're doing things now to honor the United States of America. So one of the things we do is to honor the Jews, and it brings out that Jews contributed to the establishment of America. I mean, people have the chills. This is exactly what we prophesied, but it never happened before in history. Especially if it did happen, maybe it was a president of a small little country in a little valley somewhere. But you're talking about the president of the United States of America should come out with such a call that everybody should keep Jews should keep Shabbos, everybody on their way. So basically, that means that we're seeing things. The world is still a natural world. In fact, there's still things going on, but we're seeing things that are happening that are making bringing more freedom to Jews to observe the Testament. What do you want to say?
There's so many questions with like the whole reincarnation and all of this, and like I don't know, I feel like I'm never gonna, we don't know what's gonna happen, right? But we know that we're gonna return, right, to like the best version of ourselves, but we all have these past lives. So are we going to exist at the same time as our past lives when Moshiach comes? Are we going to live alongside our past selves? Are we going to become a whole new person with all of that inside us? How does that work when all of us have lived all our lives have lived different lives? It drives me really nuts thinking randomly about these things.
So first of all, we are going to be receiving Mashiach, and we're not going through that whole process. We're going to be the ones who will receive Mashiach, and we'll just continue until Mashiach time. Those in the past who passed away. So this question came up numerous times. Anyone would know how to answer that question? Who's going to come back? If we lived so many lifetimes before reincarnation, how can they all come back and look the same person?
Time will be more this way, right?
It's a more simpler answer than that.
No, just all figure in.
But how can it be? My Neshama was there 100 years ago, and it was a different person. And that guy's coming back. What didn't happen to me?
It's not like it's many parts of the one. I mean, it's the same. I mean, just
So how will you come back? Yeah, will you come back as Rabbi Majeski, or will you come back as?
You're not going anywhere. You don't understand. We're here to stay. It's got to be an hour time. We're not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm answering. The question is what Mayan is saying. That when it says that the neshama comes back a second time or a third time, not the whole neshama, part of the neshama. And the analogy that's given is with the flame. The neshama is compared to a flame. You take a flame and you light a second candle. How many candles do you have?
Right.
How many flames do you have?
Like the sun, you.
Right. So each flame is an identity on its own, and yet they both can exist at the same time. So when Mashiach comes back, there will be three people. They are exactly the way they were when they lived their life. Nothing changed. And yet it'll be part of one soul.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about, it's beautiful. And you talk about what we're gonna be doing, like, we're gonna be learning, we're gonna be doing mitzvahs, like, are we gonna physically be doing any of that, or are we going to be like souls, like omnipresent and Shama, like, what happens to our physical,
No, we're gonna be with the physical body, of course.
like, we're still gonna here,
Right.
we're just gonna live in the present, like, what happens to the world if, things get better all of a sudden?
The world is gonna continue as a physical world, but the world is gonna have more meaning for their lives.
And it will be like everlasting, there's not gonna be peace, sick each other and murder,
No nonsense.
What is that called, the period that the Rebbe said that we're in?
Yemos HaMashiach,
But what does that mean? I'm trying to think.
days of Mashiach,
Oh,
Yemos HaMashiach. That's what the Gemara is talking about, the days of Mashiach, yeah.
Will we see or understand my like in so I had like the most answers.
Well, we know who it is.
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
Will I feel
Yeah.
that this person are like is like my part of my
yeah.
Right.
Probably, walking down the street. You see somebody. Who are you? You look so familiar. And I just run to you, who are you? By the way, I just saw something yesterday where it says that women don't become reincarnated.
yes, yes, because we are the most holy, right?
I didn't see it to the end, I just saw one line, I didn't get a chance to look through what it says there. But that's another point. But I'm sure being that they're part of the same soul, we'll probably be aware of our connection, who we're connected to.
So if people like really struggled in their life and just like maybe didn't grow, like what will happen when they come back?
When the Mashiach comes, everybody's gonna come, everybody's gonna be in a good place.
So whenever like they're mentally ill or whatever.
They'll be healthy, everybody be healed, everybody be healed,
I
right?
feel that Hashem loves all of us and like, all of us will have our trials and tribulations, but like, we're all, he loves us, like, he gave us the life that we live for a reason, like Rabbi Majeski is who he is for a reason, he became a Shiva for a reason, like, we'll learn that later on in life, but.
Everyone will be healed, even physically, any kind of physical disability, when Mashiach comes, will be healed.
Emotionally.
Right, in fact, there's a precedent, the Torah was given, the same thing happened. When the Torah was given, everybody who was sick was healed. On Shavuos. Yeah,
It didn't make sense, I would say, that all of us who were in the time when a month is now, right? So this means that from this time, our souls have like like reincarnated, right? So we can possibly know how many people were like.
but we don't know now, because the event, when Mashiach comes, we'll know, if they're connected to 5 different lifetimes, 10 different lifetimes. It could be more than one.
But Hashem to choose it, he sending this soul every time when person passes away, or maybe Hashem
No,
save this soul and
it's only done for a reason, it's not just done random that every soul has to
Right.
come in there. There's a reason, that this soul, maybe, either the soul is needed in the world again, so Hashem sends the soul down. Or sometimes the person didn't complete their job, so Hashem sends them down to complete their job. So there could be different reasons why it happens, and it doesn't mean it happens every generation. It could be the soul, or you had to come down 2 times, 3 times, we don't know.
That's the big question. A lot of people say stupid things like, oh, when I come back in my next lifetime, I want to be a dog, or I want to be a man so that I don't have to worry about being a woman, like, does that happen? Would you come back as an animal, or would you come back as a human?
The person will come back exactly as they were during their lifetime.
Okay.
Same person, one different person. Anyway, so this is what this opinion is saying, that of course will be miracles, but the time that we'll be we'll be enjoying the bliss and the freedom to be free to learn Torah and do mitzvahs. and then we think will still be happening in a more natural way before the real miraculous time comes. There's an opinion, there's a difference in the opinion, we'll soon see how long that time period will be. The first opinion is 40 years, then there's another opinion says more and more. In other words, one opinion is that it'll take just 40 years, and then after that comes the next stage where we're going to see open miracles like resurrection of the day. And the Rebbe once explained that 40 years doesn't mean it have to be 40 years. But the clock is my competition, and I can't explain it, so we'll have to be on Tuesday. Great job.
Good Shabbos!
Hi, you want to take one, passing the rest around? Okay, everyone?
Baruch Hashem. How are you?
I have a really, it was just going off what he said, but we could probably answer this too. Just to close our conversation. When we are reincarnated, I was, you know, a long time ago, like, obviously Jews should have been cremated, but what happens to the ones that were cremated, will they also come back?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, definitely, right, especially if they were, especially like they're, those who were cremated in the Holocaust.
right,
It
right,
wasn't their
No.
intention at all, contrary, they're people that, that died because they were Jews, but died something from the same thing. So
right,
for sure, they will come back. And those that did it on purpose, that did it, you know, locally. Of course, there are people that are unaware. You can't be punished for something that they were unaware of. Which is why it's a dangerous thing to learn a lot of halacha. The more you know, the more you're liable for.
yeah. You know, there are some people that shows, yeah, like.
Yeah, but
They
they,
didn't know.
well, no.
Because it's economical.
Yeah, no, I don't mean that they didn't shoot. I'm saying even the people that chose, that absolutely did shoot and know what it is, they don't understand, either they don't know that it's not allowed, or they know that it's not allowed, they don't understand why. And they don't think it's a big deal, but they don't, they, the background of the education to, because if they knew what it is and what it does to them, they would never do it. Just like any Jew, if we knew and truly felt what we were accomplishing and what we were destroying, for the wedge that we were placing between ourselves and our souls, ourselves and Hashem, we would never do anything wrong. We just don't see it. We don't see the impact. A very, very watered down example would be like people who eat a lot of junk food. If they knew what they were doing to their bodies and they knew what it meant in 5 years and 10 years and how it's going to affect their health and their lifestyle when they turn 40, 50, and 60, they would never do it. Whatever, they just don't understand what it is. They don't appreciate the impact. Mm-hmm.
What about like somebody for suicide?
So, by the way, you're asking about reincarnation, and answering also about reincarnation, but the soul, the suffering that the body goes through, and the suffering that the soul goes through, is immense, which is why we don't do this. And suicide causes awesome. It's a purgatory in itself to commit suicide. Even before the punishment for something that you did wrong, the pain that the soul and the body go through because of that is immense. I don't want to be too graphic or gory, But
You don't have to be.
No, I know.
didn't say you can be. Yeah, I'm very
No,
curious.
no, I think it's important to just think about it for a second. If a person goes through, there's a certain amount of pain that a person can endure in life. Walking. Because at a certain point, a person will either faint or, be knocked unconscious or God forbid, he'll die. Right, there's a threshold of pain of how much anyone can tolerate before they expire in one way or another. But when after you pass away, there is no threshold. It's already been. Which is a scary concept that I don't know if it's gory, maybe that's probably not the right word, but it's an intense thing to think about. That the pain is potentially endless. And immense on levels that are beyond what's the capacity of a living person. It's not fathomable. It's not really understood. Which is why, by the way, that it says that 1 year of suffering in the next world is comparable to 70 years of suffering in this world. 70. Wow. That's comparable. Meaning the suffering for 1 year is like suffering for an entire lifetime. At the same time, I want to end up on a positive note. At the same time, if someone suffers in this world for 1 year, it wipes away 70 years of suffering in the next world. So there is that flip, because of the difficulty in this world and the difficulty of embodying, the difficulty of not understanding what's happening and why, and all of that is sort of piled on to the suffering. It's not just about physical or emotional suffering, it's also about someone who spends